In Kentucky, we don't just take chances, we bet big. I'm sitting down with 4 Kentuckians who made 4 bold moves and asking one question: what was the biggest bet that you ever made on yourself? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Town & Country Ford. So wherever life's adventures may lead you, Town & Country Ford is along for the ride. What was the best bet that you ever made on yourself?
100%. Moving to Kentucky.
Did that feel intimidating, though, stepping into the bourbon business?
No, it was initially to start the bar, which was, so it was something I knew because it was a new legislation that you could have a restaurant and a bar attached to a distillery.
You all were one of the first. This is the Best Bet podcast, where we ask each guest what was the best bet that you ever made on yourself. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Town & Country Ford, Kentucky. So no matter where life's adventures may lead you, Town & Country Ford is along for the ride. So my next guest has been doing so many different things and has a fascinating career and has really turned into one of the biggest names in bourbon. He is a musician turned sommelier turned master blender in bourbon, Dan Callaway. Oh, Dan, great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You have had, I think when people think of careers in bourbon, they think of very straightforward, I'm a bourbon heir, growing up in Kentucky, and boom, I'm going to run a distillery. And your path is so unique.
Yeah, it's,
right?
It was a roundabout way. It's nothing I planned, but it's just been an incredible story, and I've just been fortunate to be where I am.
And one that I think has changed bourbon in Kentucky. I think it's opened up people's eyes to, oh, whoa, this is a different direction. But let's begin at the beginning. You know, you grew up in England.
I grew up in England, outside London. And, you know, my parents, my mom's a book publisher, my dad's a musician. And my whole life I was planning to be a musician. I came to the States when I was about 10, Baltimore, Maryland, and did music my whole life, college, and all through my 20s.
Just up the road, starting at Cincinnati?
Yeah, exactly. Cincinnati for my undergrad, and then went down to LSU for grad school. And then I got a job playing down in Louisiana.
Oh my gosh, that's like a dream for any artist. I mean, that's...
It was. I loved every second of it. I was doing the pop band thing. I was doing the classical thing.
Oh, you were in a pop band?
Just for fun with my brother,
you in a boy band?
Traveling around.
Are you serious?
There was no dancing.
What was the name?
Oh no, I can't even
Come
go
on.
into
Oh my God, I'm gonna...
synth band. But no, but the main thing was the orchestra in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I was doing a little bit of film music on the side and just having a blast. And I thought that was what I was going to do for my whole life.
I mean, and New Orleans is so creative. I can easily see how you made that turn into sommelier, because there is no bigger mashup of music and culture and food and drink than New Orleans.
Yeah, I did. I was obsessed with cocktails down there, and what happened is I was on a tour. I used to have the Christmas time off, and I would go to China and play Hollywood music in China, a touring group. This is crazy that I did for years. God. And my wife happened to be in that orchestra, and she was from Kentucky. Oh. And so when I got back stateside, I started driving up to see her. Yeah. And then took a chance, left the orchestra, left music, and moved to Kentucky.
I mean, when you got married and you thought, okay, we're going to live in Kentucky, did you think, okay, I'm going to continue pursuing music there, take up the banjo?
It's so interesting. I did initially. I didn't really have it's funny because orchestras, they're tenured, kind of like college professors. So it's difficult to just move to a town and then jump in, So I didn't really, I was trying all kinds of things. I was doing teaching a little bit. I was doing substitute teaching, music around. I was picking up gigs. I was just trying to figure out what the next step was. And I had this love of cocktails and wine, and I just started leaning into that more and decided to pursue that. And I'm very obsessive. So once I decided to do it,
you're all in.
Yeah, I just dove into it.
I think to do that though, with wine, food, cocktails, you have to have a palate that has some talent, so to speak, yes. Right? You've got to have a talented palate and to taste nuance. Did you realize at some point, wait a minute, I'm I have a gift that I didn't realize that I
I
have.
think it's so interesting. I compare it to music, right? Where you can have this natural ability, but I think so much more important than any natural ability is your work and how you refine it and how you identify it. So I was very fortunate to be surrounded by people in Louisville that were into wine and could show me things about it. And I just started applying what I did with music, studying and repetition and rehearsal into flavor with wine and tasting. And just, I probably had over, 10,000 note cards about wine. I was taking these tests and I just got obsessive about it and never looked back. It was just a fun time.
Was there a point in this journey that you realized, okay, I've landed at a restaurant or I'm doing this? I think I found something for myself in food and beverage.
Yeah, so it was Decca Restaurant on Market Street, Annie Petrie, and again, just very fortunate timing where I happened to land on Market Street. I just walked into the place. My wife said, "Hey, they do music in the basement. You should check it out." And right away, it was just these amazing individuals up and down that block. There were so many unique restaurants. I mean, right across the street, you had Mind Cafe, you had Rye, you had Harvest, and all these talented individuals. And I could just pop around and learn from them. And
was this like 2010s?
A little later.
11, 12, 15-ish?
Yeah, in that range.
That was a time of, they had great restaurants.
Oh, it was amazing.
Not many of them not there anymore,
right.
But it was just this burst of the early parts of Nulu.
Yes.
We're starting, it's the first.
Exactly.
The first emergence.
And so
of those
just
places.
to be a part of that, it was incredible. And I didn't have kids at the time, so my free time was just studying wine and cocktails. And
what a life.
Yeah, not so bad. And then it was interesting. I got to know Joe Heron, who was the founder of Copper and Kings. He would come into the restaurant, and then he said, "You should meet these people starting Bardstown Bourbon Company because they're doing something cool, and I think you guys would hit it off."
Right.
And that's
how it all started.
Yeah, went down to Bardstown. This was a little bit before Derby, and tasting distillate off the still and hearing about their vision. And there was just such a synergy because they were doing something new in the industry. And I just, from that day, wanted to be a part of it. And I was, how can I join this team? How can I be a part of what's growing here?
What did you notice about them that was different? What did you see them doing differently? Because growing up here, it's always, you've got the heritage distillers and this is the way you do it.
Yeah.
And it's like a very difficult business to break into because if you're not part of the family,
100%.
You're not going to get a job there.
Yeah, and it
just seems like this is it.
Well,
sorry.
The moment you pull up, right? Because you drive to Bardstown, you are surrounded. You drive by the heritage distilleries, and I think Pete Lofted, the founder, this is what he saw from the beginning. It's an all glass building.
Yeah.
For it looks nothing like any distillery you've ever seen. So I think from the moment you look at the place, you know it's going to be something special, something innovative.
There's something so modern about it. You know that they're doing things differently under that roof.
Totally. And to be surrounded by the tradition. And then from the beginning, it was this small, invigorated, innovative team that wanted to create new products and do something. And it was just, I don't know, my whole life I felt like I was trying to find the right path. And I felt like from the moment I started there, it was just like going the right direction on a river, and it just everything kind of locked, and we could grow and build something.
Did that feel intimidating though, stepping into the bourbon business? Because bourbon has such a rich history, especially in Kentucky, that it's almost like people will question, well, what do you know?
Yeah.
And who do you know? And there is a lot that I feel like you've got to almost pass a test at the door before they let you in.
Yeah, which I was so fortunate too. Exactly that. When I came down,
you took a test.
I did taste a lot of distillate. No, it was initially to start the bar, which was so it was something I knew because it was a new legislation that you could have a restaurant and a bar attached to a distillery.
You all were one of the first.
So that's why I came down there, was to build the bar, which transitioned to the bar and the restaurant and then the visitor center. And then the whole time I was looking at products, and they happened to be really excited about finishing bourbon, in wine barrels, Armagnac, cognac, and that's what I loved. And that slowly led until I went fully product development, fully blending. And now where it's led to is we're leading this global approach to bourbon and just exploring everything bourbon can be.
And that really goes back to, I feel like people are just opening their eyes to the barrel, depending on where it's been or where it's going to go, can truly impact the whole flavor profile of this bourbon or this cognac or this rum. Or wait a minute, we can use this barrel that just had whiskey in it for something else.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel like we've untapped this path of all this new flavor.
Yeah.
You know, and to be clear, a great bourbon starts with a great distillate.
Yeah.
You can't do anything if what's coming off your still isn't the highest quality. So we're fortunate to have an amazing team. Day one, I met Steve Nally, right, our master distiller, former master distiller, Maker's Mark. His whole team is just tremendous. And then from there, once you have a pure, beautiful bourbon, you can then experiment in everything from Korean whiskey we're looking at now to Martinique to Barbados to India, doing all these wild things. But you have to start with something that's made correctly.
Bardstown Bourbon Company launched several years ago the Signature Series.
Yes.
Right? That was kind of their crown prince, so to speak, of this is who we are, this is what we do. Did you expect it to be so widely acclaimed? Because everybody has a bourbon these days, I found out, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just, that has to be incredibly intimidating to say, we're going to do a series like some of the big guys do, but it was very, very widely acclaimed.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I felt like that was the big moment in the company history, was to release our own product that came off our stills.
Yeah.
And the first competition we entered it into, it won highest international wine and spirits competition, won bourbon of the year, right? So to your point, there's so many bourbons on the shelf, right? To just immediately have that separation was amazing.
Yeah. And now you can have, is this correct? Explain, like, say, I want to start my own bourbon brand.
Yeah.
I could come to you guys with all my money and say, let's collaborate together. And will you help me distill it? Will you help me store it? I mean, I can do all that there.
Yeah,
and is that not all? I can't go to Old Forester or Woodford and offer to do that, right?
So that
seems to be the difference in the industry that people didn't realize. Now, wait a minute.
No,
there's
you're
a chance
exactly
for
right.
me to have my own.
So that is the core of how Bardstown Bourbon Company started. So in the past, if you wanted to make your own bourbon, you would basically go to one of the big guys and you would buy their excess capacity, what they had left over. But you wouldn't get any say in the profile. You're just buying what they were already making, and you normally wouldn't be able to say where you bought it. So do
you blend a little? Do you blend that?
You could kind of do that, but what we did out of the gate was, you're now the chef using our kitchen. So you get to pick your yeast, you get to pick how it comes off the still, how it's barreled, all the points of production you can dictate, and then you have your own brand. So we came out of the gate supporting brands, and honestly, that's the most rewarding part of my job is taking someone's idea that they had to start a whiskey company and then seeing them grow. I think about a brand, 15 Stars, father, son, Rick and Ricky Johnson, who started with us from the beginning, and now they're winning global awards and doing something, and we've been able to support them every step of the way.
You've supported Marianne Eves. She was on this podcast.
Another person doing incredible things, and she can come in, and our distillery is her home. You know,
Right.
she can walk through distillation, barreling, and so Bardstown Bourbon Company's kind of become this grand central station for all these different distillers and blenders. And that's how you learn so much, you know, is just interacting with these people.
You running out of space?
Unfortunately, we purchased the land across the road.
You have to.
We've expanded a couple times, so it's been
because
awesome.
all the warehouses, all the still houses are right there on the property.
Right there, and then across the road, we picked up another 300 acres to keep growing.
Wow.
So, and to support the brands that are growing too. So yeah, it's been an awesome ride.
All right, well, pause right here.
Okay.
We're coming right back with Dan Callaway. I grew up in a Ford family. My dad worked at the Louisville Ford assembly plant. So growing up, it wasn't just a brand, it was a part of our life. And that's the thing about Town and Country Ford. It is woven into the fabric of not only who we are in Kentucky, but who we are across America. So wherever life's adventures may lead you, big, small, or totally unexpected, they're there. All right, I'm back with Dan Callaway. He's a big name behind the Bardstown Bourbon Company, Lofted Spirits. You may have seen him on 60 Minutes about a year ago, right? I have to ask you about that opportunity because that was a huge moment for you to be on 60 Minutes talking about barrels, right? The impact of wood in barrels on the distillation process.
It was completely surreal. It was just awesome because it was a chance to talk about what I'm passionate about and all the cool things we're creating as a team. And yeah, the cathedral definitely drove that, you know, the work we did on that release, which was really special.
And so the cathedral release, that came once you've moved on to Lofted Spirits, and kind of explain the dynamic of what is Lofted Spirits to Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Sure. So Lofted Spirits, named after our founder, Peter Lofted, combines Bardstown Bourbon Company, which is modern, innovative, and Green River, which is our sister distillery down in Owensboro, which is tradition accepting, just back to 1885, one of the coolest stories in bourbon.
Right.
But Lofted combines those two brands.
And within this company, not only are you coming in to start at the bar, literally to help them build up their bar restaurant, into helping with product development, you know, into having this hand in cathedral.
Yeah, so it was amazing. We say there's nowhere we won't go. And I'm always on the hunt for unique barrels, unique profiles. And we got word, talking to these barrel brokers, when Notre Dame caught fire back in 2019, the French government set aside wood that they deemed the greatest wood in France that they would use to repair Notre Dame. So they had teams go around the country and they selected this 300-year-old oak. And they said, this is what we're going to use to repair. And as it was aging, they repaired, but there was a little bit left over. So we were able to purchase it, turn it into barrels, and then put our, came up with a very cool blend up to 19-year-old bourbon to put in those barrels and release as the cathedral. And then it happened that 60 Minutes was doing a feature on the reopening of Notre Dame. So it was just really serendipitous.
What a moment. So the same wood used to rebuild Notre Dame Cathedral is from the same lot.
Same the
your
forest.
Bourbon sits in.
Yeah, isn't that cool? It's amazing. And so, that is to me the wonderful thing about our company is we're willing to take risks, right? There's other things that maybe didn't work out. You have a crazy idea, but we're willing to try, right? To say, hey, let's experiment. Let's see what we can create. And to have a team that supports you, say, hey, can we, because the barrels, they're not cheap often,
No.
So you got to say, can we take a risk, bring these in and see what happens, and it's just
and from a flavor perspective, I mean, you had to think, okay, I wonder what an oak from that part of the world, in what temperature, what climate is that going to do to the bourbon?
Totally. And
because that absorbs in, right? That's the whole beauty of the barrel, truly becomes a part of the bourbon.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole taste of it.
And so they were selected to repair Notre Dame because they're older. It's 300-year-old wood. So your grain is tighter, it's dense, so it's really like, how would you interact with this dense, strong, extra aged oak, where normally you wouldn't see that with oak we use traditionally in bourbon. So to me, it was just a really fun age experiment to see how it would operate. Yeah.
What they say in bourbon, those are sometimes the greatest bourbons come out of the greatest experiments and mishaps. Yeah. It's the accidents sometimes that we're like, let's just see.
Totally.
What happens.
Totally. But you're not going to find out unless you try.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And then where did you age that bourbon?
So I
what country?
Aged in the U.S. Okay. It came over.
All right.
Aged in our warehouses.
In Kentucky.
In Kentucky.
So we got all that crazy climate stuff going on, because that's the beauty about Kentucky weather, that it actually is helpful in the aging process.
Absolutely. What you want is the swings in
found
Kentucky.
The positive in our weather.
No, it's exactly right.
Hard.
You want the miserable winters and the brutally hot summers to expand and contract the wood. Oh. And that way the liquid can push in and out of the barrel and it can age naturally. There's no other climate like it. It's perfect right here.
Wow. And so with Cathedral, were you just so pleasantly surprised when you tasted it for the very first time that you're like, yes.
Yeah.
This was worth the search for the 300-year-old oak.
Out of the gate, it was something I think we knew as a team we had something special and things were, and you never know, how things are going to come together, but it just happened that And that's the beauty of product development and blending is it takes, you've got 20 people, finance, procurement, marketing, operations, processing, and they all have to have the shared vision to put a product together. And we were just firing on all cylinders on that one.
Yeah, and speaking of blending, I don't know if it's had like a bad reputation throughout the years. Like Abby and I did a tour at Stitzel Weller last week, and I wasn't really familiar with the history of both Stitzel's family, Weller's family, and kind of the dirty word back in the day in Kentucky was they're a blender. And it's almost like that's the swap meet of bourbon.
Totally.
And so it almost sounds like in this day and age, blending is not just such a bad word anymore. That when did things become a little bit more acceptable in that space?
Yeah, you nailed it, right? And so blending has been a dirty word historically in bourbon. What was happening is when we had an excess in bourbon, this is a long time ago, I think the 70s, right?
Yeah.
People really leaned, and they had been doing it a little bit, making a blended whiskey, similar to how you have a blended scotch where you take a neutral grain spirit, essentially, a vodka, and mix it in with bourbon to make a lighter profile, not an authentic. And that's what we thought of as blended whiskey. What we're taking the word blended is all different, but premium, high quality bourbons. There's no vodka involved, and making a beautiful blend where the sum of all the parts is better than any one liquid. I do feel like we're on the forefront of that, of making these unique blends.
They realized, there's improvement to be made in this lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can create new flavor profiles. Same way, you see it in wine constantly. They'll tell, a great Bordeaux might have, 5 different grapes in it, right? And we can do the same thing with bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's come a long way.
It has, yeah.
Right. Dare I even ask you what's next? Maybe with you personally or with what they're doing at Lofted Spirits.
Yeah,
that you can tell us.
We've got some amazing,
Just tell me. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We've got some barrels aging in some really unique places around the world.
Oh.
We're making some trades with other countries. For Bardstown, it's leaning into this global approach to bourbon and really that nowhere we won't go. Green River, we just opened our tasting room right by Louisville Slugger, right by the Bardstown tasting room in Louisville. And we're about to launch a series exclusive to there. These little office experiments I have going and little small blends. I've got some really cool things for Green River. I think that brand, Green River as a whole, is poised to just explode.
Yeah. Right. It has that heritage to it, right?
It's DSP KY 10. It's the 10th registered distillery in the state of Kentucky. So it's got a rich history. People are just learning about it. We're revitalizing it. It's to me the coolest story in bourbon.
Do they have Dierks Bentley's bourbon?
Yeah, exactly. It comes right from Green River.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Right. And so what else is next for you personally? Now, don't tell me you're going to switch to a totally other lane and be a NASCAR driver or a Formula One racer. No. I think I'm going to get into Formula One. Okay. Dan can do it.
I always say whenever I retire, I think I'll write a murder mystery. That's what I... My mom
and you'll do it.
I've never done anything in that space.
She's in publishing.
But I think I've really found a team and a home in Bourbon and in Bardstown, and there's so much left to do that I just think about constantly.
Switching gears a little bit because I do want to ask you about this, just because bourbon tariffs, what's been going on, Jim Beam closing one of their 3 plants for the next year, really kind of I think rattled a lot of people. Kind of went, whoa, what is happening there? What is your personal take of what's happening? I think people want to, obviously tariffs are out there, but then there's too much supply and then people aren't drinking enough. When you look at it, what seems to be the biggest problem, and when do you see this kind of wrapping up and getting back on track?
It is the question of the year, right? And I don't even look at it as a problem. I think it is a correction, right? Mm-hmm. Anyone that was around in Kentucky during COVID saw an uptick, right? And so there's plenty of charts you can see where you take these numbers that are happening right now compared to pre-COVID, and it's pretty in line, right? It's more like an anomaly during the COVID
we're
years.
getting back to the numbers before we had that
COVID,
spike in COVID.
And
that was normal.
Exactly.
So getting back to normal.
We do have a lot of barrels, but on the flip side, our brands are up 40%, right? So there's tremendous growth and long-term potential. I just think there are, a lot of barrels laid down, but it'll correct itself. And I'm probably one of the most optimistic people for where we can get to at the end of this year.
Right. And with innovation on your side, right?
Exactly.
It's going to force people to think differently.
And what I always point out is the global opportunity that you look at in Europe, in the UK, in India, where you have this demand for bourbon. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we can do internationally as a spirit. So
my big final question for you.
Yeah.
What was the best bet that you ever made on yourself?
100%. Moving to Kentucky, right? I was 30 years old and I left the music industry, right? Completely started over, and just being willing to take a chance and pivot, and found a path and a career that I love.
And it's always, I think, in the pivots that we think this doesn't even make sense, that it all evens out.
Yeah, exactly.
You're where you need to be. Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you for
really
having
loved
me.
it.
Appreciate it.